getting your free shipping threshold right is very critical. So what is your average order value? What percentage of buyers are in which value range? And then where could you put a free shipping milestone or a threshold, and then how do you play around with it to see if that impacts your average order value? That is extremely underrated, and it's a very nice and a simple hack to figure out a good 5-10% jump in your average order value. It is AI versus the brand operator. Who can do a better job? Fundamentally. Right. Who is the information inside the brand operator, brand founder, or agency's brain might do much better than the AI at smaller scales.
Hello everyone and welcome to this new episode of Consumers Don't Care, a show where we bring on top performers, brand owners, and people who know the DTC industry inside out, who talk about what consumers actually care about and what they really don't care about. Go to any marketer and ask them about the most important metrics for any e-commerce store, and definitely average order value will be among one of the top 3 metrics to look at and optimize in order to ensure that you make the most out of your store. To learn about just that, we have our guest today, which is Ravish Mehta, who is the founder of Monk Commerce, which is a Shopify app that helps you to upsell, cross-sell, and in short, optimize your average order value for the entire store. In less than 15 months of inception, they have already served more than 1,000 plus merchants, managing to increase their average order value at almost 5 to 15%. To give you a better picture, let's assume you run a store whose monthly revenue is around $20,000. Then adjust a 5 to 15% increment in average order value can be close to 2 to 5,000 of extra revenue generated without increasing your ad spend and with the same amount of traffic coming to your website. Watch this episode till the end as we are going to reveal a special surprise for you. Hey Ravish, welcome to the show. We have been speaking for a lot of time about AOV, about the upsells, cross-sells, improving the AOV for the stores. So finally, I've successfully brought you to the episode, and we are going to discuss a lot about websites, enhancing the AOV of the websites. How do we do it? So yeah, welcome to the show. And before we start, let's straight dive into the first question. There are a lot of stuff that one can optimize in their store, like how does it look and how many conversions does happen. So, or it can be the site speed. So there are plenty of things someone can optimize on the website. Why do they prioritize optimizing average order value for this site? Just let us know, why do they optimize average order value?
So the broad idea around AOV is, at least the broad idea around building a profitable or a high growth D2C brand is largely down to 3-4 metrics, right? Now, it could be your CAC, it could be your average order value, it could be your gross margin. But ultimately, there are 3-4 metrics that govern the overall health of your D2C business, right? And AOV plays a major role in that. Now, conversion rate is another one. So everything that you do are tactics that eventually lead into any of those probably 4 top metrics: CAC, conversion rate, AOV, and probably gross margin and then operating margin. So any activity you do has to lead into one of these 4 metrics. And that is basically the 20% that will govern the 80% outcome of your, like a Pareto. You focus on those 4 metrics and everything else gets taken care of.
Right. So AOV falls in that 20% of the stuff that you can do, which impacts your business 80% of the time.
Absolutely.
Right. Makes sense. So just a follow-up question to that, Ravish. So I know you've been helping a lot of brands globally with Monk. So what has been the common pattern of things that work well? Globally, if you see in different countries, people behave differently. People like different kind of incentives, and brands behave differently in different networks in different countries. So, do you see any common pattern over there? In this country, this works well. In this country, this works well. Just give us a brief idea about that.
So there are patterns, but they're not as repeatable as you think they are. And there is never a one-size-fits-all solution. So the way we look at it is in the matrix of geography and niche, you will find the right patterns. For example, a jewelry business in Germany and hence other jewelry businesses in Germany might have learnings that can be shared across, but those learnings are rarely transferable to a nutraceutical or a nutrition brand in, say, UK, right? So there are learnings, but they largely stick to their relative niches rather than being very one size fits all or very generic. But when it comes to approaching average order value as a key metric, I think the approach is very consistent. You can look at average order value into two parts. One is how do you create step shift impacts in our average order value? So how do you take it from $50 to $75 to $95 to $150? And then how do you create incremental gains by getting in 10%, 15%, 20%? So that basic approach stays the same, where there are some tactics and some things you do to create step shifts in your average order value. And then there are some tactics and some things that you do, like running a sale or some micro things, to create incremental changes that might stay momentarily or forever. That stays consistent across geographies and niches.
So basically, you mean to say we start with a fundamental ground level of average order value that you have for your store, which remains naturally, and we run some kind of sales and activities which actually boosts it up incrementally. And it can't be like you take your $50 average order value to $100 in a matter of 1 month by doing one or two activities. So that's practically possible.
Incremental step shifts in average order value only happen when you look at your core product and your core offering in a different lens. Any app you use, any sale, any tactic will at best give you, say, a 15 or a 20% jump. But if you're looking for a 2x, 3x jump, you'll have to reconsider the entire offer, the entire product, the entire positioning of it.
So help us understand some myths about average order value. Among marketers, it's a very popular term. Boost your average order value, increase your lifetime customer value. But I think very few people actually understand about activities which like we can actually perform to like increase average order value. So if you can like just help us know, apart from the basic stuff like cross-selling or upselling, what can someone do to actually improve their average order value?
So, see, when it comes to myths, there are two things that we see a lot. One is thinking that AI is some mystical concept and just adding an AI recommendation is going to take it 3x. That's never going to happen. Especially if you're a store that is processing less than 10,000 orders a month, AI is unlikely to do anything for you. Above 10, 20,000 orders a month, there is a lot of pattern recognition. There's a lot of matching that might come into the picture, and that can probably delve into deep insights about your customers' buying behavior. But for most brands, in most cases, the brand operator, the brand founder knows better than any AI engine out there about what their customer is buying and how they're buying it. Having said that, when it comes to tactics and when it comes to actual activities that you can do on your store to increase your average order value, you can largely find them in your customers' buying data itself. For example, let's take cross-selling. Cross-selling is the simplest thing you can do. You can say that, okay, if you're buying product A, why don't you also buy product B? If you already have, say, 10% of your customers organically going and buying product B, that when they buy product A, that already informs your cross-sell activity, where if you add that product B on the right places on the product page, on the cart page, on post-purchase, that 10% can go up to 12, 15% and help cause an incremental jump in your average order value. So going through your existing customer behavior and existing customer data itself will give you a lot of insight on what might work for your store. For example, let's take gifting as a good use case. Gifting is largely done in two ways. You can either say that, shop till $100 and you get a free gift. So that is a way to get people to add more products to their cart to get a gift. Or it is around shop till $100, get a gift, and in that gift you probably send a sample. For example, we see this a lot in supplement brands and nutrition brands, where you give a gift and that gift is a gift of samples. And then you measure whether that customer comes and buys that particular product again. This happens in beauty also quite a lot.
Right. In fact, there are a lot of brands like one I can remember, Smitten. I think there's a brand called Smitten, which actually function on this entire concept of giving away samples, and then people come and buy those products.
Yeah. Now, but if you are a business that does not rely on repeat rates for its profitability or for its margin profile, then
Right.
then this gifting mechanism might not work for you. For example, if you're a mattress company, right, and
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, okay, you get these 2 pillows free.
Right.
Nobody's going to come back again to buy more pillows
Right.
in the next 3 or 6 months.
Correct.
So what you do is inherently related to the nature of business you are in. For example, gifting works very well if you're a high frequency use case. High
Mm.
frequency use case, in those cases, it's very common. Okay, I can take a gift and then I might be reminded to buy something from your store again in 2 months or in 3 months.
Mm.
So that is where the gift comes into the picture. But if you're a brand that is on operating on the lower end of frequencies, once in 6 months, once a year, very unlikely that something like a gift will help drive brand recall for such a long period of time.
Okay. So what should some brand, like, just let's just take an example. If it is a mattress company, you sell mattresses and pillows.
Mhm.
So what could be the possible thing that they can do to improve the average order value? Like, what can be the activities similar to cross-selling or upselling? If they are not the best ones, then what could a brand like that do to improve their average order value?
Got it. So the simplest thing you can do is add cross sells, where you say that here is a mattress and here are pillows and here are bed sheets, assuming you have the inventory for it. Now,
Hmm.
the first thing for any of these activities is having the right inventory. If you just
Hmm.
sell mattresses, you can't cross sell another mattress because nobody's going to buy it. Like, very few percentage of your buyers will buy 2 mattresses at once,
Correct.
right? So now, firstly, it's about having inventory that is very supplementary in nature, complementary in
Hmm.
nature. Sorry, inventory that is
Complement.
complementary in nature. One very nice hack to figure out what complementary products you can sell is go to Amazon, search for mattresses, and you will see Amazon's recommendation. That
Hmm.
itself is a very good insight on what else can you add as inventory on your store. Right?
That's a skill, man. That's a
Yeah,
skill.
that's a nice hack to figure out. Okay, okay. So if Amazon is recommending these 4 SKUs, they're probably working for them. That is why Amazon, being Amazon, recommending it. So you
Yeah.
can experiment with those. That's a good way to figure out what next product should you sell on your website. Uh,
Right.
so coming to this. So let's assume you have pillows, you have pillowcases, and you have bed sheets, for example. Now you can cross sell pillow covers, you can cross sell pillows, you can cross sell bed sheets. So you can do it on the product page, you can do it on the cart page, on checkout if you're on Shopify Plus, or post purchase. So
Hmm.
basic cross selling of extremely relevant products. So if you're buying a mattress, you buy pillow covers. If you're buying a mattress, you buy a bed sheet. Things like that. Very relevant, very natural extension of purchases, which can take your average order value up by 10%, 15%, things like that. That is something you can do. Now, if you are selling bed sheets or pillows, you can also try bundling there. So you can say you buy, instead of buying one pillow, you buy two or you buy four. Same
Right.
with bed sheets.
Right.
Instead of taking one bed sheet, you can buy 3 bed sheets. So you can start bundling and give bulk discounting there. That's one way
Right.
of increasing your items in cart.
Hmm.
The third way of doing it is through giving it through a free shipping threshold. So, for example, let's
Hmm.
assume that your most sold mattress is at the $100 value, and mattress, being a mattress, will cost a lot in shipping, right?
Correct.
And let's assume you say that you get free shipping if you shop till $130. Else, at
Hmm.
$100, you're also going to pay shipping. So
Right.
customer might as well add $30 worth of products and also avail the free shipping.
Correct. 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 Free shipping, I think it's a in a sense, if you even compare the amount of money a shipping cost will be, still, if you just offer free shipping in any way, if you can cover the cost of shipping in your product, like cost, then I think it's very convenient for customers. They don't like to pay like shipping fees.
I mean, paying for shipping is now an archaic concept. People
Mm,
expect shipping to be free. That is
yeah.
a customer behavior that has come about in the last 10 years.
Correct. Correct.
Right? It's
Correct.
become an archaic concept. So when it comes to free shipping thresholds, you should always have a threshold. I mean, giving free shipping on every order would be just shooting yourself in the foot, because you will definitely take a hit on your margin profile.
Mm, yeah.
Because there will be orders which are 1/3 of your average order value,
Mm,
and paying shipping on them, and giving free shipping on them could be very disastrous.
correct.
So in terms of actually average order value enhancement, one thing that we've seen is getting your free shipping threshold right is very critical. So,
Mm,
what is your average order value? What percentage of buyers are in which value range? And then
right.
where could you put a free shipping milestone or a threshold, and then how do you play around with it to see if that impacts your average order value? That is extremely underrated, and it's a very nice and a simple hack to figure out a good 5-10% jump in your average order value.
And I think it will take a couple of iterations for anyone to get it right, because you can't just figure out some numbers like this plus this is equal to this, and you get a number key. Yeah, I'll give free shipping at $100, and that's the best spot for me.
Oh, certainly. So AOV enhancement. Firstly, I don't like the word boosting. It sets the wrong context. AOV enhancement is largely an experimental iterative approach. You have to try 10 things. Of those 10, one of them will really hit it out of the park. But you have to try those 10 things to even figure out what's going on. It's very unlikely that you will try 10 things and nothing will hit. And it is very unlikely that you will try 10 things and 9 will hit. So you have to have a very iterative experiment-based approach. You start off with your best guess, of course. You start from there. But then you work your way towards iterating, and over a 3-month window, you will have strong confidence that this particular thing works, and then you can move on to your next optimization.
And do you think, Ravish, like the best guess, as you said, the best guess? So can the best guess be after studying the customers? That would be enough. If, for example, if you're a cosmetic brand, if you're selling some products related to skincare and body care. So if you just look at your customer, like talk to them sometimes, you'll get to know what are the things that you can offer as a cross-sell, upsell, or just what they need. And that is more than enough for the best guess that you can do on your store to increase the average order value.
So 2 things. One is, of course, talk to your customers, no doubt. Second is genuinely go through your order reports. Understand what products are being bought together. So here's a nice hack. Shopify has a report called, I think, the order cart analysis.
Okay.
It's either called the order cart analysis or the online cart analysis. So Shopify has a report called order cart analysis, which shows you that if a particular product is bought A, product B is bought in what percentage of its orders as well. So that is a clear data-centric way to figure out your cross-selling. So if you know that, like I mentioned, if you know that 10% people are already buying product B and 7% people are buying C and 0% people are buying D with your A, so there's your cross-sell. Now it's about how do we incrementally improve this with the right widgets, with the right pop-ups, with the right nudges and offers across the entire user experience. So talking to your customers is one great way of going about it. But it's also critical to look at the actual sampled data of what is exactly happening on an order level. And our customers...
Because then you know, like what customers say can be something different from what customers are doing. So what customers are actually doing is something we'll get from that list of what kind of orders they are placing. Makes sense. That's interesting. I think it will be great if you can say some more hacks like that, so people can actually figure out what they can do.
Sure, I mean, I'll let you know of hacks as and when they come to me.
Yeah, definitely. So for a store who has a lot of SKUs, 10, 20, 100, like I work with a couple of clients who are into the home decor niche. They have plenty of products. So we don't have to struggle a lot to find out what we can upsell, what we can cross-sell, and what are the activities we can actually do to optimize AOV. But for a store or for a brand which has less number of products, 2 to 5 products, less than 5, you say, what could be the best tactics that they could employ to increase the average order value?
So from the top of my head, I can think of 2 things. One is, if you are in the right niche or in the right geography, just sell more of what you're already selling. So bundle it up or do bulk discounting, provided your niche supports it. For example, if you're a supplements brand and 80% of your orders are the protein supplement, is there a way you can sell 2 boxes at once? Is there a way you can sell 3 boxes at once with the right discounting? So if you don't have a lot of SKUs, the very basic rule of thumb is just sell more of what you're already selling. Now, some niches, like for example, the one that we discussed, mattresses won't allow for that. Right. But most niches will have some form of going about doing that. So I think that's bundling and giving a bulk discount is probably the best way of going about doing it for brands that have low number of SKUs or that have a lot of SKUs, but 80% orders are coming from like 2-3 of them.
I've spoken to a lot of brands, Ravish, but some brands are like, we want to stay premium, we don't want to give discounts. So I think they miss out on a lot of potential where you can convert more customers if you just give a little bit of discount. So talk to us about discounting and how do someone approach discounting if they just want to grow their brand, increase the conversion rate or average order value. Then how do they go about discount? How do they think about it?
So personally, firstly, the idea that discounting affects your brand image is something that I don't completely buy. Your brand image is a lot of variables, and
Right.
one small activity is not going to hamper it, or one
Right.
small activity is not going to build it. It's built over years,
Right.
right? And it's ultimately built at your price point, and your price point is governed by your customers.
Hmm.
You can sell a piece of jewelry at 6,000 rupees, but nobody will buy it. Simple.
Right.
Your price point will largely be governed by what your customers are paying, what your competitors are setting, and things like that. What the
Right.
market condition runs, right?
Right.
Now, saying that we are premium and then not doing discounting does not make a lot of sense to me, at least. And I come from a very numbers and a very math background, so it does not sit
Right.
well with me. For me, it's you should experiment with it, you should understand it. Having said that, your discounting should not be at such a level that it affects your gross margin and your margin profile significantly. So if
Yeah.
you are discounting, you better have a very strong gross margin because you have that margin, you have that room to play with. Or you can play with the perceived value of discounts. Nobody's asking you to actually discount it.
Right.
But you can always create a perception around it that, there's a sale or there's some discount going on. But I mean, it's very common in D2C or in e-commerce to not actually have a sale going on, but to create that perceived value of it. And
Right.
perceived values genuinely work. They might not be the honest way of going about doing it, but it does work. And there's nothing wrong about it if your customers are responding the
Yeah.
right way.
And customers buy it. Like, it's not the case that customers don't know about it. They're completely aware that this product is not actually discounted by 50%.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that Shopify has an inbuilt feature on their products to be price and compare at price, that's how
Um,
ubiquitous it has become. That Shopify gives you a default feature that set a compare at price, we'll scratch that and we'll show you the actual price. So
and
that
I
just
think this
shows
is
it.
something that works across every country, every consumer, like no matter where, from where you are.
Yeah, I mean, slashing prices it was a conversion tactic. Today it's just become hygiene. Now that everyone's
Mm,
doing it, the customers have gotten smarter. So this happens. If there's a tactic that really works, everyone does it, and then the
yeah.
customer learns from it. And
Right.
the customer starts reading the situation much better, and then that tactic stops becoming a tactic, but rather a hygiene.
Hygiene.
So free
And
shipping is a good example of that.
yeah, free shipping. Yeah.
Yeah. Some things turn from tactics into hygienes because everyone's doing it.
Correct. Correct. And it loses kind of its impact
Yeah.
earlier as it had. It kind of loses its impact, but then you can't also miss out on that.
It's hygiene, so I mean, there is no upside to it, but there could be a downside to it. So why would you want to play
Right.
with that?
Right. You don't want to play with something that's already working.
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, let's also talk about the brands who don't want to discount. There are many that you might have met already. I have also met some who are not into discounting, and they are quite stringent about it. Like, they don't want to do discounts, but everything else, like, they're open to try a lot of stuff. So in that case, what do you suggest? What could they do to improve their average order value? What could they? How do they go about it?
So in these cases, if you're the kind of brand that does not want to actually discount something, now if especially when it comes to upselling and cross selling, if your recommended products are genuinely relevant, discount you can get away without discounting as well. You don't necessarily need to discount. For example,
Hmm.
if you're selling shoes, let's assume you're a brand that sells orthopedic shoes for people with diabetes or people above a certain BMI.
Hmm.
Now, they might need extra insoles and they might need extra cushioning. So, if
Right.
your cross selling products are as relevant, you don't necessarily need to give a discount there. You could just, then it's about getting the UX of the purchase right. It is about
Hmm.
showing the right product at the right spot in the buying journey. So, they see an
Right.
ad, they come on the product page, they go through the orthopedic shoe, they add it to cart. Then they see at the cart step that, okay, you can also add a extra sole or a softer cushion or something of that sort.
Right.
And then they also see it at post purchase. So
Hmm.
you don't necessarily need to discount it there or anywhere, but it is about if your relevance is strong,
Hmm.
you can get away with discounting and not worry too much about it. Second
Right.
thing you can do if you don't want to discount is to play around with gifting. Let's assume that you don't want to actually give a genuine product for free. You can actually give a brand merchandise for free. That actually sets our brand recall very strongly. We've seen a couple of brands do
That's
that,
interesting.
where even something as simple as a coaster or a mug, which will cost you nothing in terms of cost in production, you can just get
Yeah.
it off of some website and just give it for free. That should not be a problem at all. It is a completely different product from your main product line, so it does not have any link to it being free,
Right.
and it has a brand recall value. So if you are a business that is at the higher repeat rate end of things, you can try that, and then you can measure people who got the free gift, what was their second order rate like compared to people who did not get the free gift. So
Mm.
that is one way of going about it. You can do bundling. You don't need to necessarily do discounting on bundling. But
Mm.
the thing with bundling is the idea that you should buy 2 units of this other rather than one.
Right.
What is the incentive there? Or you can just pitch the 2 unit as your default product. So in bundling, what we've seen is changing your default has a massive impact on conversion rate and average order value. So
Okay.
assume you're selling packs of 1, 2, and 3. Keep 2 as your default. Everywhere in your marketing, everywhere on your website, everything, everywhere 2 is the default. That
Okay.
itself will create a step shift in your average order value rather than
Mm.
having your 1 as your default.
Mm. But in that case, won't it be like they're missing out on people who are not like who just want to try the product? So I get one piece of it, then I order a three set of same set thing.
So you keep your 2 as default. Anybody who wants to change can always take a step down and change the trigger or just toggle it
Right.
to pack of 1. But
Right.
the idea here is of opt-ins and opt-outs.
Mm.
Most customers don't usually opt out of things. If they're being put in a particular flow, most customers go along in that flow. So
Right.
some people can move into your one unit product in your bundle,
Right.
and there might be a conversion hit that you will take because the two
Yeah.
product is your basic
True.
offering. But
True.
what you have to do is measure the trade-off here. The hit in
Mm.
conversion rate might just be made more than up by the average order value increase.
Right.
Your conversion rate could take a 20% hit, but your average order value could go up by 80%, with
Right.
causing a net positive. And because you're shipping 2 units at once, your cost per shipping unit will also go down.
Right.
So on the overall margin profile, you might just have a much better answer.
Right. Right. And you actually touched upon a very interesting point. Like people talk about AOV, there are tons of experiments that you can do, but there are sometimes at higher AOVs, there's a trade-off with the conversion rate.
Yeah.
I think calculating that is very important if you're testing a couple of things.
Certainly. So whenever, actually, this is also it's not a hack, but it's a way of measuring AOV and the trade-off with conversion rate. Whenever you're measuring trade-offs between AOV and conversion rate, also consider your gross margin into the calculation, because let's assume your average order value let's assume your average order value is $100 and your cost of production is $50.
Okay.
Now currently you have a 50% gross margin that you're operating with. Now, if this $100 goes to $150 as your average order value, so now you have a $100 profit gross margin. The net 50, all of it goes in your profit margin. So even if your average order value has gone up by 50%, your profit margin actually 2x. That's gone by 2%, by 100%.
100%.
So your average order value will also have a direct link to your profit margin. And they will follow a graph that a 10% increase in AOV could lead to a 30% increase in profit margin. That is also very, very important to consider in your conversion rate calculations. That 5% conversion rate hit, 10% increase in AOV, 25% increase in gross margin. That's a net net.
That's amazing. And having your numbers with you is very important when you're doing any experiment, not just AOV, but any experiment related to optimizing your store.
Yeah, certainly. I think you should focus on the big fish. Whenever you're trying to grow your store, just focus on the larger things. Once
Right.
you've figured out your larger things, once you've figured out, at least here's the way we look at it at Monk Commerce, at least for D2C brands. Figure out your product market fit, figure out your marketing communication, figure out your positioning, figure your baselines out and get to a certain scale. And then worry about these micro improvements and, gifting and bundling and things like that. Incrementality and micro changes can come, they can wait, provided you have a framework and a foundation of very strong baselines.
Right. It's not like you start your store and on the first day you try to optimize your average order value.
Not
That
really.
doesn't work.
Get your ads right. I mean, getting orders in is far more critical than getting like high value orders in. Get your ads right, get your product market fit right, and then you can focus on these things.
Correct. And optimization by definition is also it means optimizing something which is already in volume. You can't optimize 3 orders per day volume, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just too less data to come to a conclusion of what's working and what's not working.
Right. And sometimes it can also be harmful, like over optimizing. You end up over optimizing sometimes. Do you have any situation where a user or a brand was trying to over optimize using our app? Like they just went like overboard with the experiments they were doing with your app.
Yeah, certainly. So we have a lot of merchants where, like I said, average order value is an experiment-driven approach. So you could do a cross-sell on the cart page, you could do a cross-sell on post-purchase, you could set up like a free shipping milestone or a gift milestone, or you could do a bundle, or you could do a, say, a product add-on, things like that. If you have all of them running on your store, it will lead to immense confusion to your customer of what should I exactly do? What should I go about doing? And then the customer also gets confused in the cases that if I avail this bundle, will I get the free gift?
Yeah, that's a big customer support problem here.
Yeah,
I have seen this. Like customer support people actually cry over this.
Yeah.
They are asking me whether can I avail this Diwali bonus with this early pre-spring discount, like plenty of things.
I mean, simplify. In my opinion, complication. Run your experiments to figure out the right answer. Once you figure out the right answer, start simplifying it rapidly. Because you're running so many experiments, there will be some points where it might get complicated. But in my opinion, simplification is how you scale. You have to simplify it down to the right product, the right marketing, and eventually the right offers.
Right. And going about choosing the experiments for AOV optimization, for example, if you are in a apparel niche, so you can do actually plenty of things, or you can maybe probably do bundle offers. So there are plenty of things that you could do. So how do one go about picking the right kind of experiment? I won't say the right kind of experiments, but how do someone get the hierarchy right? Like which is the experiment that I should try first? So is it based upon the competitors? Like, okay, this guy is doing this. They probably are doing well, so we could also try doing this. How do one go about it?
So looking at your competitors to figure out what to do is actually not a bad idea at all. Especially competitors that are a couple of steps ahead of you.
Correct.
So using your competitors as a reference point is not a bad idea. Using one competitor as a reference point is a bad idea. You look at 4 stores, you look at 6 stores. Let's assume you look at 6 competitors and you realize 4 of them are doing similarish things. Then you have some level of significance that, okay, this is probably working.
Right.
But if you have one brand in your mind, which is the hero brand in your niche, and you keep looking at them to figure out, okay, let's do this, it's unlikely that might work for your brand as well. Because the context changes significantly, the brand changes significantly, how deep your pockets are change very significantly. So using your competitor as a reference is a good point. The second, as I mentioned earlier as well, just go deep into your customers' buying behavior. That is, in my opinion, the gold mine when it comes to figuring out experiments is just go deeper into your customers' buying behavior. Watch recordings, see customer support queries, see actual order data, talk to customers if that's possible. Just figure out what their buying behavior is. Figure out whether, for example, are your customers the kind of people that come to your product page, add to cart and check out? Or are they the kind of customers that come to your product page, look around, see 40 products and then eventually buy? That will inform your strategy of what should we do. What should we do to entice them or to give them a particular offer? If they are the kind of customers that are just going through checkout with just one product in cart, then there's a different way of communicating to these customers using timers and using discounting or using very urgency-based behaviors. But if your customers if you have customers that are naturally just exploring your store, if larger portion of customers do that before making a purchase, then there are different ways of probably going about talking to those customers.
So coming to the app, there are plenty of apps in the market. if I as a customer, I as a brand owner, I choose to like I've heard from my marketer, from my marketing agency that I need to improve my AOV. That is how my cost will go down. That is how my margins will increase. So is plugging in the app enough? Not just your app. I'm saying is plugging in one app and you rest assured that my AOV is now optimized. It will do all the entire job. Like I'm asking this question mainly because from experience, we do a lot of consulting. We talk to brands and we look at their average order value. It is down compared to the customer acquisition cost. It is low. So we tell them your average order value has to increase. That is when you will get a good margin where you can at least break even or have a good amount of money left in the bank to do any other stuff. And the general answer we have received from a lot of people is, yeah, we have a plugin installed and it is doing the job. Our AOV is optimized and it is doing the job. And they are they're assured that there's not a lot of stuff they can do beyond it.
No, not at all. I mean, no single app, and this is not AOV related also. This I can say this for all of your business. No single app is going to create a step shift in one of your key metrics. It will create incremental wins, it will create improvements, sure. But creating step shifts, creating 2x jumps, 3x jumps is not going to happen by just plugging in an app. Even if you use the app to the fullest, even if you use the plugin the way it can be used.
Right.
Plugins and these things are fundamentally incremental values in nature. It is about how you can extract the most value out of it. But expecting one plugin to jump in and increase your AOV by 3x is very unlikely to happen. It might happen in a one-off case, but statistically unlikely. So at least the way we look at it is, your experiments and your optimizations have to be ongoing. It is an ongoing battle that you keep fighting. Every 3 months you try something different. And in doing so, just by the law of numbers, in 10 experiments, 2 will hit. And you keep, and whatever works, just double down. Whatever works, just double down, double down, double down, double down. I think that's our way of approaching average order value in general for any D2C brand.
Right. And do you give an experiment a month's time or a number of certain number of orders, or what is it that an AOV experiment, if you say, you have to give it a certain amount of time to know whether it is working well for you or not?
So that depends on your order volume and your visitor volume. Ultimately, if you have lesser number of visitors and orders, the idea is to get to a certain volume of data to say confidently that this is working or not. Right. For some that would be a month, for some that would be 3 months, for some that would be 7 days. So it depends on just the sheer volume of data you're getting and at what point does it become statistically significant. Let's assume you're processing 100 orders every day and assume you see a 10% variance every day. So it goes to 110, it comes to 90. It varies between that. Any experiment that you do, and you see over a 7-day average. Let's assume that your 7-day average went from 100 to 110. That is a shift. But for that, you need 7 days at 100 or. If the same thing is happening at 30, you probably need a much longer time because then you will be probably looking at 15-day or 20-day averages.
Correct.
So it is largely governed by the sheer size and scale of your store.
Anything else, Ravish, like just on the top of your mind, any tips or something as a pattern you could share with us that you talk to your customers a lot about, something that, as I said, I see customers complain, like telling me a lot of times that I have an app and that is doing the job. So have you seen a common trait of owners or brand founders that they assume is the right thing, but it is not actually right, and you end up correcting them almost all of the time?
So when it comes to using an app to improve your average order value, I think just adding the app and setting something up randomly is not going to work. And and then saying that, okay, I have a plugin that's working. You will have to first start from a point of understanding your customers, understanding your order data, understanding what is exactly happening on your store when a customer is making a purchase. And then using that information and then using the app to execute what you have in mind. But what you have in mind will largely be informed by what you see from your customers and your order data.
Right. At the end
Without
of the day, it's just a tool, right?
yeah,
It is not the one solution for everything.
tools are that they're just tools. You
Mhm.
don't know how to wield them, so they'll remain tools.
Right.
You knowing how to wield your tools is fundamentally doing your homework on your customers and your store and your niche and your business, and understanding, okay, this is how we go about doing it. Second is, and I mean, I say this almost on every demo call I go, AI is not going to do anything for you. AI might work for that $1 billion brand that you're aspiring to become, but at your current scale, it is not going to do anything for you.
Right.
So we see that a lot of people rely on AI because they're just too lethargic or too lazy to create those kind of offers, to brainstorm, to actually go about manually setting it up. But that 4 hours of manual setup will pay its worth in time, in gold, in a 3 month window.
Right.
And
And AI
eventually,
feeds on data, right? If you don't have any data, what would AI feed on? If you give it less amount of data, possibly it will feed on the skewed data.
fundamentally, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is ultimately how well the algorithm learns and the algorithm understands.
Right.
Secondly, most of the shelf algorithms are not very superior. At Monk Commerce, we've explored the AI aspect very strongly.
Okay.
Uh, the top brands which are huge certainly need AI, because that level of data optimization and data crunching is not humanly possible unless you have
Mm.
a team of analytics in house. So
Mm.
in those cases, having an algorithm crunch data for you makes a lot of sense.
Correct.
But then that is happening at buttloads of volume of data, where where the algorithm is genuinely able to find out patterns and recognize things and recognize behaviors.
Mm.
So I'm not saying that there's no place for artificial intelligence in improving your store's outcomes, but I think that comes from a very mature lens of 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 orders a month. I think
Right.
post that is when that conversation comes into the picture. Before that, it's very unlikely.
Mm. So it's kind of too early for almost every brand to sleep on AI to improve or optimize their store without understanding what customers need.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, see, the way we look at it is AI versus the brand operator. Who can do a better job? Fundamentally.
Mm.
Right. Who is the information inside the brand operator, brand founder, or agency's brain
Mm.
might do much better than the AI at smaller scales. And that's what you need to rely on. At larger scales, because the data then becomes this big that it is not, then humans start becoming inferior at that scale.
Right. So yeah, thanks a lot, Ravish, for like this amazing session. I hope a lot of people will take away great insights from this to implement on their store. They are able to optimize their average order value and make like buttloads of profit in short. So, like Ravish, just before signing off, tell us where people can find you and a little bit about your app, where they can find it and how they can use it. Just tell us a little bit about it.
So Monk is basically a full suite AOV enhancement app for Shopify stores. You can find it on the Shopify App Store. Just go and search for Monk or Monk Commerce, and you should be able to get it. We focus on upselling, cross-selling, bundling, gifting, just the entire spectrum of things you can do to improve your average order value. An entire spectrum of experiments you can run to eventually figure out what truly works for your brand and your niche. We currently have more than 1,000 merchants on the app, distributed
That's amazing.
across the globe. 75% of our merchants come from Europe, Australia, UK, and US. And the remaining 25% are then spread across India, UAE, Malaysia, and things like that. So we have a lot of insight and a lot of understanding of what might work in which niche and in which geography. So just search for Monk or Monk Commerce on the Shopify App Store, and you should be able to find us.
And also go follow Ravish on LinkedIn. He shares a lot of stuff. And the best thing, what I love about his posts is when he shares about his reviews. I love reading the reviews. I actually went on the App Store while researching about Monk Commerce. I actually went to the App Store and I was reading all the reviews for like 15 minutes down the line. I was looking at all the reviews, how they love the customer support from Monk Commerce. So yeah, also go follow Ravish on LinkedIn because he posts a lot of great stuff, like just how he shared a lot of good stuff in today's conversation. So Ravish and his team at Monk Commerce are generous enough to give us a special offer of extending the trial period to 21 days, which is usually only 7 days. You can extend it to 21 days by using the coupon code CDC21 while installing the Monk Commerce app on your store. Let me repeat it again. Head to the Shopify App Store, search for Monk Commerce, install it, and while installing, use the code CDC21 to get an extended 21 days free trial for the app. This is your host, Aman Agrawal, signing off. See you in the next episode.